Awesome. Oliver, welcome to VidTao podcast. It's great to have you here. Where are you calling from today?
Thanks, Ian. I'm calling in from Amsterdam. Our
Nice.
headquarters are here.
Nice. Nice. And Oliver, I mean, it's been incredible to see what you and your team have done with Ekster since what, 2016, right? You guys launched?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's wild. And so I just think this your backstory is really fascinating. So talk us through basically how many countries have you lived in? Like, well, this you're an international man of mystery here from a very young age, and just I think and we're getting to I mean, Extra's on track to 100 million a year, e-commerce brand, et cetera. But I think your backstory it sets the tone for a lot of things. Love to hear how'd you grow up? It's a really unusual story.
I definitely hopped around a lot especially in my younger years. So I was born in Amsterdam. Then we very quickly moved abroad, and ever since that first move, we moved every single, I would say, 5 years. So grew up most of my younger years in Japan, in Tokyo and Yokohama, which were amazing years of my life. We did 5 years in Milan, a few years in Barcelona. I did an internship in Hong Kong and Singapore after I started studying, and I studied in the States and in Rotterdam. So yeah, like I've never really sat in the same place for more than 5 years. And this started out because my dad was working for Heineken back in the day. So living climbing that corporate ladder. And after left my family home, I decided that I wanted to continue that international lifestyle. So I was looking for a way to be able to do that. And the first opportunity I had was a job in Hong Kong, and then after that Singapore, and that's where I did have the idea for the first my first business, which is Ekster, the trackable wallets. So it all started there.
That's super cool. And so I know you were a Fulbright scholar, right? Which maybe some people aren't familiar with. Is pretty very prestigious type of yeah, I mean award, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I signed up for that when I got done with high school, and I was quite a young student, so I was about to turn 17 when I finished high school, and I kind of thought I need to see the world by myself, or I need to become a grown up before I start studying, because I feel
Mhm.
like I'm still, I still look like 12 at the age of 17. So I decided to apply for this Fulbright scholarship. Went through all the hoops. You had to write a motivation letter, do a few interviews, go to a few events, and ended up getting a full scholarship for a year in the States, which was an amazing experience. I think for my becoming an adult, I guess. Leaving your family home, but also um, getting a new mindset. I guess the American mindset is a lot different to the European one, and it's nice to get some insights from that and to learn from that. So I think that Fulbright scholarship helped me decide where I wanted to go, because that's when I knew I really wanted to do business and start a business myself.
So it's crazy that you obviously born in Europe and then you spent a significant amount of time in Asia and then moved to America and really dove into American culture, specifically around business, et cetera. I'm just curious how those three spheres influence how you approach growing extra.
Definitely. So I would say the European background that I have really influenced the aesthetics of the branding about around the brand. And I'm the guy that does all the branding and the marketing for Exter, so that's really my corner of the business. And I would say the European background is yeah, very uh, it's very prominent in the brand. You can see it in the photography, you can see it in the way that we portray ourselves online. However, the aggressive marketing tactics are definitely inspired by how the DTC brands in the States do it. And I would say my years in the States helped me look at the best players out there, because if we're honest, like if you look at the DTC space, I would say the States is miles ahead of Europe. especially in just in terms of size and in terms of how advanced people are with their performance marketing. So I would say that that aggressive marketing mindset came from the States. And Asia, I think there's also a lot of design and engineering that came from there. Because when I lived in Asia, that's when I came up with the idea for creating the first trackable wallet. And that was inspired by the fact that people were already paying with their phones in Hong Kong in 2015. And this didn't really exist in Europe yet. Like in the States, people were still paying with cash and checks. So I wondered, why are we still using these fat bifold wallets in the Western world and people are using QR codes here to pay, which inspired my search for a better product or a better wallet. And that started the whole Kickstarter phase
Mm.
where we founded the company.
Yeah, and I'll just put this out. So I met you and your co-founders in Ukraine like 3 years ago, I think it was, for Geek Out, and you guys
Yeah.
gave me this wallet, and it's still my wallet, and it's ironic because I had a huge fat bifold wallet that was stuffed with receipts and all kinds
Yeah.
of crap, and of course then I had the elastic strap, and then that became, I transitioned to my Ekster, and then it was still had some receipts, and then I just got rid of that, and I'm just pure cards
Nice.
now. And I love this thing. Like, it's 3 years old. It still does amazing. So
Yeah.
definitely high quality product and sleek. And people always comment like, what is that? And then
Yeah.
driving through the South, the US, people are like, what do you got in your pocket there? It's like almost sort of like a tactical type of device.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's incredible what you guys have done in terms of product and obviously on the marketing side. And I heard some anecdote from your Kickstarter days that you crowdsourced or crowdfunded 15K in the first hour of, is that right? First
Yeah,
hour that
that's
you
right.
guys launched.
Yeah.
That's
That was the
insane.
goal that we set as well. So we knew that, we needed more than 15K to make this a reality, but we also read into like what the Kickstarter world was about and how to hack the algorithm to grow as fast as you can as a Kickstarter campaign. And we set our goal at 15K because we thought that was a realistic goal to hit in a few hours with both like lead gen, family and friends, own network, LinkedIn, all that stuff. And it just blew up from the get-go. So like the campaign was fully funded in like an hour, and then within the next 2 days, I think we were at what, like maybe 50K or something. And then over the next month, we ended up hitting about 350K, I think, which was mind blowing because we were 22 years old. We had no idea how to run a business. We just had a cool idea, and we needed other people to help us make it a reality. So that whole campaign is still one of the highlights of my entire career, I would say.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that I heard that you spent a year actually preparing for that launch. I mean, how did that go? What was your thought process around that level of detail and preparation before actually, hitting go?
Yeah, so most people think when they think about Kickstarter campaigns, they think, okay, I'll just make a cool video and put it live, and then the money will come in. But if you really go into the platform and analyze the top performing campaigns, the 1 million plus campaigns, those campaigns, they all have like a certain structure in common, and they all have like these, yeah, specific parts of the ways of the way that they set up the campaign that makes it so successful. So there's a lot of facets that make a Kickstarter campaign a success. One of them is a super engaging video that people want to watch until the end. And Kickstarter videos are a bit longer than you're used to, like on TikTok and Reels. They're usually like 2.5 minutes, but it's all about telling the story of the founders and why you came to this idea. And then the second part is, how can you get as much funding as possible in the first 24 hours? Because that gets you onto the popular page. And that's when the ball really starts rolling, because then the whole community of Kickstarter sees you. And then I would say third, like the simplicity is so important. You often see campaigns that have like 25 different rewards or types of products you can buy, but it's usually the simple campaigns with like one very innovative idea that do best. And the process for us, since we were so inexperienced in business, we literally just benchmarked our entire campaign to like the top 10 Kickstarter campaigns. So we put them side by side. We analyzed what they did in terms of communication, ads, campaign video, and then we just combined all the knowledge that we had of those campaigns, and that trickled down into what we built ourselves. Very low budget, so whenever I look back at it now, I'm like super cringe, but it did the job.
Really. Yeah, and benchmarking is something that I've heard you talk a lot about and definitely want to get into more in a little bit. I'm just curious though, if you had to fast forward to 2024 and you wanted to start a new brand from scratch and you had none of your connections, would you still go about the crowdfunding route to do that?
Yes, I would. I think I've recently coached a few people on crowdfunding campaign, and many of them have been very successful. I feel like it's still the best way to fund your company because you don't give away any equity. You learn a lot from these early customers because they're really willing to help, like they're willing to give feedback. And it's almost like it's like social proof or like a case study for your own business, and it's for free
Mhm.
almost. Like besides the content that you have to make anyway for your business, you're not investing much. So I think even just the learnings from one of those campaigns is already worth it to do a Kickstarter for.
Mhm.
After that, you can take those learnings and get funding if you want to, but I think it's a nice first step.
Got it. And then is there any big takeaways you have in terms of interacting with customers, getting insights, feedback, et cetera, that you could share that you've learned along the way?
Definitely. So Kickstarter is built around community, and I would say the best practice when you do launch a Kickstarter is to keep everyone in a loop on a weekly basis. And you do this through Kickstarter updates. And we would use these Kickstarter updates to just tell our backers all the details about production, like the fulfillment struggles we were going through, even just like early stage design decisions. Like we have these 5 colors, or we have a few more. Do you guys want to check them out? What do you think? And I would say that weekly pulse both gives you a lot of trust from your customers because they see that you're keeping them in the loop for every week. But it also gives you so many new insights. Like we had a lot of different design changes that were impacted by just interesting comments from customers on our updates. So I think just that cadence and keeping an open mind to your customer feedback is super valuable on Kickstarter.
Makes sense. I mean, it's such in a such an impersonal world. It's so neat that people have the feeling that they're helping to co-create this with you, which they actually are from the sounds of it. They're having an actual impact on that first initial push with your
Yeah,
brand. That's an amazing phenomenon.
yeah.
Um, I mean, so talking about benchmarking, so okay, so for Kickstarter, you said you guys were going through looking at all the different successful Kickstarter brands, seeing what type of content they launched, like their cadence for launching, like what kind of metrics they're hitting within certain time frames. Just curious of what else, what were you looking at, and how are you kind of organizing that and making decisions on how you guys would approach actually launching?
We went about it very systematically. So we created a Google sheet where we made different columns, and these columns would stand for specific sections of the campaign. So, for example, rewards. Rewards are products that customers can buy. On Kickstarter, they're called rewards because it's you're investing or you're donating money and you're getting something back for it. So we had like the column rewards, and then we would just write out how many rewards, how many colors per reward, and we would do that for like the top 10 campaigns. And then we would see trends in what they were all doing in common. Same for videos. We would just analyze, the first hook, the middle part, and the ending of each video and see what they all had in common. What else are good examples? I would say sections of the campaign. So most campaigns that are successful, they usually start with a section that shows social proof, press articles, anything that gives the customer trust. And just the whole setup of how people organize their campaign from top to bottom. Just putting that in a sheet side by side and putting screenshots in the sheet and just seeing what they all have in common. That already gives you like the the blueprint for a campaign. You can do the same with ad libraries, right? Like analyze all these different brands' ad libraries and just see which ads have been running for the longest time and see what those ads have in common, because those are the ones that they've been spending on most for all those months. And it's all mostly logic. You don't need knowledge of performance marketing, and you don't need to be a marketeer to do this stuff. It's just kind of imagining like what is the thought process behind this and why are they all doing this. And as a student, you know, if you don't have any working experience, I guess that's the cheapest and quickest way of setting up something that will work.
Makes sense. Going from that success on Kickstarter, how did you spend your first dollars on performance media? What was that process like?
We were so inexperienced with performance marketing. We didn't even consider it at first for our Kickstarter campaign. Halfway through, we got in touch with an agency called Gelop. I think they did all the big campaigns on Kickstarter, and they suggested, yeah, why don't we just try it? We'll pay the ad spend, and then you guys pay us back later. We're like, okay, let's give it a go. And that exponentially grew our campaign. And then we realized the power of Facebook ads back then. So the first thing we did after that was when we set up our web shop, we started working with an agency. And this was a big agency, and I guess they weren't really experienced with smaller companies. So we spent a lot of money on just, you know, spend and also on their like commission, but it wasn't really working. And I think their mindset wasn't it wasn't like startup mindset enough. So that's when we got in touch with freelancers and a new agency structured from Nick Shackelford in LA. And that's when we really started understanding, you know, what performance marketing was about and how it worked, so we could eventually take it in-house. So I would say like the largest amount, like the larger portion of our dollars always went to performance marketing. It's always been our main spend. But after that, I would say partnerships with influencers, YouTubers, became a very big chunk of it as well, because that is like it's less direct revenue per video, but it's long-term revenue, because those YouTube videos stay online. You know, they keep getting found over the years with SEO, and they keep bringing in new revenue, and it also feeds the funnel and helps you, you know, improve your remarketing ads and such.
Sure. That's a really interesting approach. You mentioned hiring structured social, for instance, and then with the intention of obviously working with them, but then also thinking long term of, okay, we want to actually internalize the skill set to people who can focus on this full time and just live and breathe just your brand, which makes perfect sense. And it brings up a topic around just how you think about teams, right? I know that three co-founders, right? And going from that to obviously, I think you have what, like 50 plus people now all over the world. What's that growth been like, and how has it been just prioritizing where you need to actually build out team, where you need to maybe cut back and reassign? Just curious how your philosophy on team building has evolved since those early days.
I mean, I think team building is probably one of the biggest struggles we've had over the years. I, whenever I talk to other founders, you know, everyone struggles to find the right people. And it's hard. That whole hiring process is so difficult because sometimes your gut feels right, sometimes it's completely wrong. And over the years, the first few years, we tried to keep it small. We were like, we really had the entrepreneurial mindset. We weren't trying to build a huge company. We wanted to just make cool products and sell them worldwide with a small and flexible team. But at some point we started growing so fast that we realized, you know, we need to start taking stuff in house. Like all these agencies are just charging us too much. And that's when it went really fast. That's when like the team just doubled within a year. I think this was when we were at like 20 million in revenue or something. And that's when you start thinking about, you know, building culture, like creating different values that everyone stands by, that helps the company scale through difficult and through good times. And I guess our mindset there was we never really hired based on like you know, where people come from or based on like if they're Dutch or not, because we're a Dutch company, right? We're based in Amsterdam, but our entire team is not Dutch. Like we have one Dutch person working at our company, which is pretty crazy for a Dutch-based company. All the companies around us are like filled with Dutch people, and we have people from all over the world. Just because we try to hire for the best person for the role. It sounds very simple, but we've always had that mindset, and it's worked out pretty well. We've had our ups and downs though. Like we've grown very quickly, like had really big teams, and we've also shrunk teams. It's I would say I'm probably like not the expert when it comes to this part of the business, but I do think we've learned a lot of lessons over the years. And as it stands right now, we have our team spread across different continents. So we have like remote offices in Argentina, remote offices in the States, Lithuania, and we're based in Amsterdam. And we try to fly everyone in at least twice a year. And then we do like these team offsites to keep that culture alive with everyone.
Got it. Makes sense. And then how do you actually identify what role is needed, in terms of like, I'm just curious, going from three
Yeah.
to 50 plus, like where,
Yeah.
obviously you could do a number of things. Just curious how you prioritize that.
Again, like it's all about talking to other brands,
Mhm.
seeing how they set it up. And uh some needs, like some employee needs just are so obvious, you know. As soon as we start splitting different warehouses, we needed more people in ops. Like we needed supply chain managers, people that manage all the shipments because we couldn't do it ourselves because it was
Mhm.
just too much. So some of those employee needs just they're very apparent, and some of them you don't know that you need them until you find out that other brands are super happy with like a specific role, like a head of growth, or for example, like corporate gifting, head of corporate gifting, or something like that. Those are things that like you don't immediately think of hiring for, but we kind of started talking to other brands and realized, oh, okay, that's bringing in a lot of revenue, or that's really helping them scale more efficiently. So it's a bit of both.
So what are your suggestions on how to go about networking with other founders and so you can discover things like that? What's been successful for you?
The In the early days, you know, those geek outs events were like the best way to get into the DTC and e-commerce world. More recently, I've been like joining networking groups. Like I just recently joined YPO, which is a young presence organization. The average age is a little higher. Like I'm
Mhm.
probably one of the youngest in there, but it opens up a new world to a lot of interesting entrepreneurs. I would say if you're a young entrepreneur, definitely apply for Forbes 30 under 30. Just apply for it every year until you get in.
Congrats,
Um,
by the way. Congrats. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was no, that was one of my highlights also in terms of network because it opens you up to all the Forbes 30 under 30 people are like in one big group on
Wow.
Slack. So you can pretty
Nice.
much connect with any of them. So, you know, doing a lot of podcasts, trying to go for awards, speaking at events, those things have all helped me expand my network.
Nice. That's awesome. So let's dive into some more tactical stuff, given that you're driving the marketing for Ekster. So what's your current marketing mix? I know you got a bunch of channels in the mix. You got Meta, Pinterest, TikTok,
Yeah.
Google. So talk me through what do you see working well for unique, high quality e-commerce products like yours? Just
Yeah.
curious, what are you seeing in the landscape right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're all feeling it, but Meta is definitely struggling. For us, it's been quite tough over the past year already, but I've mostly been hearing in communities that over the past, you know, 4 months, that most brands are finding it super hard to find winners on Meta. And this made so much room for YouTube and TikTok to jump in. So we've seen that over the past few months, like TikTok and YouTube have become much bigger spenders than they ever were because we're just not able to scale Meta as much as we used to be able to. mostly due to like rising CPMs and I guess like algorithm changes that are making it harder to find winners. But recently, YouTube and TikTok have started, growing massively for us. So we've started changing the way that we create content because people consume content slightly differently on those platforms, and changing just the way that we research competitors because obviously we're very used to diving into the Meta ad library, but now we're looking at other ways of seeing what people are using for advertising. Um, More traditional ways of marketing are becoming bigger for us, like direct mail
Mm.
is very successful for us. We try to do like a few big campaigns per year. On top of that, retail is making a big comeback, obviously, since COVID ended. Retail is like booming again. So at least not for everyone, there's also big retailers that are closing down, but brands that I've talked to in our industry, they're all like diving on retail quite hard. So that's something that we're only recently really opening up because we
Mhm.
didn't have the resources to do so in the past. And what else is big? I think those are definitely like the biggest recent growing channels for
Mhm.
us.
Got it. I mean, given all the different channels you have in the mix, the direct mail, growing a retail presence, and then obviously all the digital channels, how do you handle attribution? How are you taking a look at how my dollars are or euros are actually driving results?
Yeah, so we've tested every attribution tool out there. So, we've tried triple whale, we've tried I think six different attribution tools. We even tested them side by side at the same time. At the moment, for us, Northbeam works the best. It's one of the biggest attribution tools out there. We love the guys at Northbeam. They're amazing people, super supportive, and yeah, I mean, I feel like just after all those side by side tests, Northbeam was always the closest to the truth, based on what we could see when we were scaling campaigns.
Mhm.
And yeah, we've been with Northbeam for I think 3, 4 years maybe.
Yeah.
So luckily we were with them on time before the first iOS update that really did damage.
Mhm.
But just following that tool, I think is a big tip for people that are not yet using attribution tools.
Got it. Makes sense. And then what have you seen? Just what test would you suggest? Maybe you can't say exactly what you tried, but what have you seen result in the biggest AOV bumps for everything you run?
Recently, we have been testing a lot of add-on functionalities on the website. I would say there's three things that have helped the most. So one is building a lot of low AOV add-on products that combine well with your existing bestsellers. So like complementary add-ons for us, those are like coin trays, backplates, multi-tools, cache clips, things that work well with a wallet that you can put in, um, that are just an easy add-on. The Finder card, our new tracker, which works with Apple, that's a big one. So anything that's kind of like a no-brainer to add on at checkout, that's a great AOV booster for us. On top of that, we've been working a lot with bundles. So offering a lot of lower AOV products with like a bestseller in one big bundle, especially in gifting periods like Father's Day right now. People just don't want to think too much about which color to pick, which add-ons to get. If you make one perfect Father's Day bundle for them to choose from, then we really like push it with a big discount. We offer it as the best gift for Father's Day. Then that's like a no-brainer choice for them to go for, right? And then lastly, giving them a free gift after X dollars spent. So we give them the choice between three free gifts in checkout after spending X amount of dollars. That's a big one as well. We've seen people just add extra products simply to get those gifts.
Wow, that's awesome. Some great takeaways for people. And going from having one product, so launching with one product on Kickstarter, and then I saw your grid duffel promo video, which is incredible. The bank heist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, and then obviously, like you mentioned, the Apple connected Find My tracking device. How do you like? What's your framework for launching new products? Obviously, maybe you don't go to the same extent like you did for the duffel with some of
Yeah.
these smaller like money clips, etc.
Yeah.
But how do you think about launching new products? Coming up with new product ideas, and then what's your go-to-market kind of default go-to-market strategy for those?
Yeah, so it all really hangs under our main mission, which is better gear for life on the go. That's what we've been doing since the very beginning. So every single product we've always released has always had either a bit of tech or smart functionality. Because we don't believe that, the world needs another slim wallet. The world needs an innovative wallet, something that doesn't exist yet. And the same goes for backpacks, suitcases, duffel bags. There are so many competitors out there that are making simple, high quality black backpacks. But when we release something, it needs to have something innovative because otherwise we might as well not release it. So that's the main thought process, and it's partially built on like new tech that comes out, like when innovations by bigger brands come out, or whenever like a new technological advancement has been achieved, then we can build on that and release new products. Or based on surveys from our customers, we do very regular surveys asking our customers like, "Yo, what do you need in your life?" or "What do you think would be a cool extra product?" And it was always our dream to build a travel collection. We just want to become one of the biggest, tech travel brands out there. So we are slowly, experimenting with backpacks, duffel bags. There's more travel gear coming in the coming year, but I think like a combination between the data from customers and the hypes and the advancements in tech and the stuff that we love to make ourselves.
Got it. And then how do you actually quantify customer satisfaction to know that people are satisfied with this particular product?
Yeah, so we do a lot of like I said, surveys asking them for product feedback.
Mhm.
Like the first 1,000 customers get like very special treatments. Like we allow them to become beta testers for new products and ask them for like feedback on every single feature. We also do a lot of NPS scoring in our post purchase, and we obviously ask for product reviews, and those product reviews are analyzed by the team. So I would say there's a lot of touch points with the customers to see how these products are performing.
Nice. That's fantastic. Um, what would you say has been the biggest sort of surprising disappointment? Maybe it's in terms of a product you launched, you thought was going to be a win, it didn't pan out. Just curious about that.
In terms of product, I would say like the biggest learning is that we were so used to selling small packages that go through the mailbox for the past 6 years, I would say. And we underestimated the costs that would come with bigger packages. So just shipping like a backpack from a warehouse to a customer in the States can cost us like around $30, which is such a big part of your margin, which takes away the room to be able to scale it through ads. So our bag collection is doing really well organically, but it's not a collection that we can scale super hard through ads because we just don't have the room in the margin with the shipping.
Mhm.
So that's a big learning. I guess it's a disappointment, but it's more of a learning to take to the future to
Got it.
make better margin products.
And then, I mean, I guess it comes back to the idea of benchmarking. How do you go about benchmarking that sort of behind the scenes, like ops level business operations? Is there any ways you found of being able to understand, what's going on and what
Yeah.
sort of, yeah, KPIs you should aim for around those things?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much other brands are willing to share if you reach out to them and ask them to hop on a call. Like we do it a lot ourselves. Like I do it in podcasts like these, but we just reach out to a bunch of different brands in different industries on a monthly basis, and we just chat to them, asking them how they set things up, what do their teams look like, what are their shipping routes from China and from India. Uh, if you just if you're just transparent in these conversations and you show that you don't have any bad intentions and you help them with valuable information, then yeah, you're gonna get a lot of information back. So I would always urge everyone to do like monthly calls with other brands to stay in the loop.
Got it. You just reach out on LinkedIn or direct mail
Yeah,
or email. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
LinkedIn works really well.
Got it. And then I guess last question really is, so what's been the biggest surprising win that you didn't expect just so far since 2016?
Yeah, so this one is it's a nice one to end it with because it's also related to what you guys do. But I think if we're looking at like the past 6 months, YouTube has always been a tough one for us to scale, like YouTube ads. We found some winners and they would like scale up and then within 2 weeks they would die out again. But this is the first time in like our past 7, 8 years that YouTube is becoming a significant part of our ad spend. And it's super exciting to see because we've always wanted to scale that platform because I really believe that it has so much value. You know, customers are willing to watch longer videos. They're already watching videos, so they're more engaged. And seeing that spend go up and seeing like those videos perform really well for YouTube is an amazing surprise, and I'm excited about it because I want to become less dependent on Meta. You know, Meta has been we've been so dependent on those guys, and if we can spread that mix a bit more, then that would be valuable for the future. So
That's awesome. Well,
yeah,
Oliver, thank you so much for getting on the call, and that's it's great to see your success on YouTube, and I'm confident you'll keep scaling and scaling it to the moon. But if people want to get in touch with you or just connect, what's the best way to do that?
I would say LinkedIn. So maybe you could put my name in the description somewhere.
Yep,
I think
yep, I will
it's
do that.
a European spelled name. And besides that, you can check us out on Instagram at Ekster Wallets, and our website is ekster.com.
Nice, awesome, Oliver. Thank you so much, and really appreciate all your insights. Such a wealth of knowledge today that you shared. So a lot of takeaways. I think people can just go test out ASAP. So awesome content. Thank you so much for being on the
Yeah,
call.
thank you too, Ian. I appreciate you having me.
Likewise.